Welcome to the Clackamas County Board of Commissioners issues and updates on this March 12, 2024. Administrator Gary Schmidt, you're up first.
Thank you, Chair Smith. Commissioner West is out of the office on military leave. Caroline Hill is sitting in as clerk to the board today. Thank you, Caroline. Chair, would you please convene as the Water Environment Services Board of Directors?
We will recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as Water Environment Services Board.
First item is selection of tunnel boring machine name. There's a memo in your packet. Greg Geist, Director of Water Environment Services, Ron Warenga, Assistant Director. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Gary. Good morning, Chair Smith, Commissioners. We're here to have a little bit of fun this morning. We have a half-mile long 9-inch or 9-foot diameter tunnel that we're going to be boring. It's tradition to name the tunnel boring machines. So we did a social media blast. We got over 650 responses to that, and we've narrowed it down through a staff poll at Wes, and we're down to the final 5, which are, and I will say the Clackamole, the first one, is the #1 recommendation, the most popular, but again, this is your decision. So, #1, Clackamole. #2, the Wes Express. #3, Churaka. Gary, I thought you might like that one. 4, Chuck Boris. And 5, Happy Drillmore. So you can choose one of those 5s, you can choose another one, or you could do nothing. We hope you choose one of these 5.
Commissioner Scholl.
Well, gentlemen, you know, as you recall, I was the first one to give you a name recommendation, El Chomper. But since you didn't select that one, I think Clackamole is excellent. I love that. That's a great name. I would support Clackamole.
We are going to do a graphic, an image to go along with it. The contractor does that for us, but I think that would make a pretty cool symbol for the project.
Okay, well.
Any other commissioner would like to opine on this? Yes, Paul, go ahead.
I'll just say I think I would just go with majority folks, and I think I like Clackamole, so.
I'm looking at the policy. Hang on a minute. A recommendation, it says approve the name recommended by the ad hoc committee. Has the ad hoc committee recommended a name? I'm reading the materials in front of me.
Right, the #1 was Clackamole.
Oh, okay. And what do you want from us today? I don't see a recommendation here.
The recommendations, you can pick one of these 5. You can pick a completely different name, or you can say don't name it.
So the ad hoc committee likes Clackamole.
Yes.
And how do you spell it?
C-L-A-C-A, or C-L-A-C, I forgot my glasses today. If you
I
didn't
got it. Clackamole, Clackamole.
Yes.
Okay. Gary, we need a motion on this?
Yes, please.
Yes, I'll entertain a motion.
Chair, I move to name the boring machine Clackamole.
Seconded.
Commissioner Savas has moved, we name the boring machine Clackamole, and Commissioner Scholl has seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Caroline, would you please take the poll?
Commissioner Schrader?
Aye.
Commissioner Savas?
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl?
Aye.
Chair Smith?
Aye, motion passes 4-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're still meeting as the Water Environment Services Board. These are requests for consent agenda. Item 1, approval of an amendment with OTAC for engineering services necessary for the design and construction management of Phase 2 of Upper Kellogg capital improvements. The amendment value not to exceed $587,843.20. Total contract value is increased to $875,324.78. Funding is through county allocated ARPA funds and the Water Environment Services Surface Water Construction Fund. No county general funds are involved.
Thank you. So these are a couple projects in Upper Kellogg Creek that will improve the structure of the stream bed and alleviate local flooding. We went through Phase 1 of the design, and now we're ready to enter Phase 2, which is final design and permitting. And then lastly, we expect to go to construction in summer of 2025.
Summer of 2025.
Right. And these were the projects that the board, thankfully, assigned ARPA money to pay for.
Okay, is it paid ARPA money, 100% of ARPA money here?
We don't know quite yet. The total allocation was about 2.4 million. That was based on our initial engineering estimates of the project. So we will certainly use that much. And if it goes over, then that would be covered by surface water construction funds.
Okay, thank you. Any objections? Seeing none.
Item 2, approval of a resolution of necessity and purpose authorizing the acquisition of easements and fee property by good faith negotiations if possible or condemnation if necessary for the Mount Talbot realignment project. Total project value is $1,066,000. Funding is through Water Environment Services Sanitary Sewer Construction Fund. No county general funds are involved.
So this is one that we talked about previously. It is where we have a manhole that's been exposed in what is now a creek bed. We need to get that out of there and run it, the line, along the riparian area next to the stream. 9,600 square feet. Basically, we get in, get out, minimum of impact. It does not affect the constructability or the current use of the property. So this will just allow us to start good faith negotiations. I don't anticipate this would ever go to condemnation.
Questions or comments? Seeing no objection.
Chair?
Yes?
I don't have a comment on this particular item, but I do want to take the opportunity just to ask our staff here about any progress on that flooding issue off of Clackamas Road, Thiessen Road area. How's that coming?
Go ahead, Ron.
Good, Commissioner Savas, that the phase 2 of the contract with OTAC that we just asked for consideration is furthering those projects that we're doing up there, that design. So it would be the redesign of drainage in Clackamas Road and then the channel improvements to try and bring stream levels down so that things work a little better. So we're making good progress. Our goal is to start this phase 2 work, get the design moving, get funds obligated, and get a construction contractor on board and construct by 2025.
2025?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to see some relief for those property owners who've been suffering that for decades.
Yeah, we do too.
Yes.
No objections to this moving forward. Next.
Item 3, approval of a resolution of necessity and purpose authorizing the acquisition of necessary easements and fee property by good faith negotiations if possible or condemnation if necessary for the multiple pump station upgrades project. Total project value is $9,600,000. Funding is through the Water Environment Services Sanitary Sewer Construction Fund. No county general funds are involved.
So this is very similar. As we were planning for the pump station upgrade, we realized that our existing pipeline is not actually in the 5-foot easement that was delineated on the maps. So we need to take another 5 feet. Again, it's next to a roadway, house is set back, doesn't affect the use or constructability of the property. And we're also on this one asking for a temporary construction easement. When we do the work on the pump station, we'll need to have a laydown area for a temporary amount of time.
Questions or comments? Seeing no objections.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chair, would you now please convene as the Enhanced Law Enforcement District Board of Directors?
I will recess as the Water Environment Services Board and convene as the Enhanced Law Enforcement District.
This is a advisory committee appointment for the Enhanced Law Enforcement District of Clackamas County. Caroline, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you. The Enhanced Law Enforcement Advisory Board, staffed by the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office, currently has 6 openings on their commission due to term expirations and resignations. 11 members are allowed with 3-year terms. The recommendation is as follows: Gavin Carpenter for a 2nd term, Eric Hendricks for a 3rd term, Michael Wilson for a 4th term, Lee Merrick for a 1st term, Sean Anderson for a 1st term, and Kenneth Riddle for 1st term.
Thank you. Any discussion? I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Scholl.
I move to approve the Enhanced Law Enforcement Advisory Board nomination as read.
Second.
Commissioner Scholl has moved that we appoint to the Enhanced Law Enforcement District Gavin Carpenter, Eric Hendricks, Michael Wilson, Lee Merrick, Sean Anderson, and Kenneth Riddle. And Commissioner Schrader has seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Caroline, would you please take the poll?
Commissioner Scholl,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. Thank you very much.
Good. Thank you, Chair. Would you please reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners?
I will recess as the Enhanced Law Enforcement District and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners.
We'll meet as the Board of County Commissioners
Just a
for the
moment.
rest of this meeting.
Sure. I just want to make a comment on the last item, on the enhanced law enforcement. I think we're overdue for the enhanced law enforcement district to meet as the board. I'm not sure that's ever happened other than consent agenda and budget. And based on the budget issue last year, I think it's warranted that we spend some time with them, whether that's a lunch or, at least a discussion to exchange concerns and ideas. And with all the new budgeting information and the audit regarding that, I think it's way overdue.
Okay, that's probably a good idea, Commissioner Savas.
I agree.
Let's make a note of that.
So I'm sorry, you're requesting a meeting of the advisory committee and the board of directors?
Requesting a meeting, sounds like there's three of us here so far, requesting a meeting with the Enhanced Law Enforcement District Advisory Committee.
Okay.
And definitely welcome sheriff staff to join that. They should be part of the discussion as well.
When would you like that to occur?
I think before budget season, well before budget season.
That's 30 days, so we'll attempt to make that possible.
We'll take a look at the calendar, Gary.
Okay, very good.
Commissioner Scholl, your light is on.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I look forward to meeting everybody on this LED advisory committee and sharing ideas and getting to know them and thanking them for their work. Thank you.
May we move on?
Yes.
All right, you're still meeting now you're meeting as the Board of County Commissioners. This is request for consent agenda for the Board of County Commissioners. First, elected officials, the Sheriff's Office. Item 1, approval of a board order authorizing a purchase order with Daytech for the purchase of 55 Panasonic Toughbooks, docking stations, and DVD drives. Purchase order value is $162,452.40. Of that, $37,364.05 is funded through the sheriff's operating levy, $34,115 is funded through the Enhanced Law Enforcement District, and $90,973.35 is funded through budgeted county general funds. Nancy Artman, Finance Manager for the Sheriff's Office. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Smith, Commissioners. Administrator Schmidt, I am here before you today seeking approval of a board order for the purchase of 55 laptops, docking stations, and DVD drives. This is through a cooperative agreement with the General Services Administration per the split in amounts as Administrator Schmidt, read into the record.
Questions or comments from commissioners? Commissioner Savas?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with this, but I do have a question with, again, how those dollars will be apportioned to the three main different funding streams.
Yeah, fair question. Thank you, Commissioner. We base that on FTE, so the current split is 55% general fund, and the rest is split between the ELED and the levy. If it turns out that any of those entities were to receive fewer or more, we would ensure that the exact amount is charged to those three funds fairly and appropriately.
Okay, so maybe I misheard, but so I heard two buckets. Is it not three buckets?
ELED, levy, and general fund.
Okay, but ED is one, levies are the other.
And the general fund dollars, Fund 100.
Okay, so there'll be a portion out of three buckets.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. That's the clarity I was looking for.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing no objections.
Thank you. Next, Technology Services. Item 1, approval of a new construction contract with Roth Communications for broadband expansion in the government camp area. Total value is $298,800. Funding is through the Clackamas Broadband Exchange, ARPA Broadband Expansion Fund. No county general funds are involved. Lanu Parapilli, Director of Technology Services, Duke Dexter, Broadband Exchange Manager. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. We are here today to request your approval for a construction contract with Roth Communications. And this contract is for boring services in the government camp area. And this is part of this is a new construction. This is part of our broadband expansion that Clackamas County is doing to the unserved and the underserved areas within the Clackamas County. And the total contract value is $298,800. The funding is through ARPA funds that are already approved by the board, and no county general funds are involved in this one. We request your approval. Thank you.
I see the final completion date is the end of this year. You're going to have that finished. That's remarkable. And how long, how linear feet, how long is this expansion?
Yeah, I remember it's around 4,200 feet.
4,200 feet, okay.
That's correct.
Commissioner Scholl.
Yes, this is good news. I was up in that neck of the woods here last week for a CPO meeting, and broadband is a big deal. How many homes will be affected by this project? Do you know?
46.
46, okay. And has the government camp CPO been told about the good news? Do you mind if I let them know today about this?
Absolutely.
Okay,
No, we have not informed the government camp CPO
Yeah,
directly.
Gotcha, okay. Good, thank you.
All righty. Seeing no objections,
Thank you. And of course, this won't be approved till you vote on it on Thursday.
Understood,
Commissioners.
yeah.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Next, Transportation and Development. Item 1, approval of a grant request to the Oregon Department of Transportation for support of transportation safety planning and implementation projects. Total value is $1,271,475.94. The grant request is for $1,017,500 and matching funds of $253,975.94 for 3 years. Funding through state grant and match through the County Road Fund. No county general funds are involved. Dan Johnson, Director of Transportation and Development. Go ahead, please.
Thank you so much, Chair Smith. Commissioners, I am pleased to inform you that Clackamas County Safe Communities Program has received funds from ODOT's Safe Communities Grant Program since its inception in 2005. Those funds are essentially focused towards education and communication efforts to reduce traffic crashes, particularly those crashes that are fatal in nature. This is a new funding opportunity that came forward from ODOT, essentially to help us transform our system, our policies, and campaigns to create a safer road and safer road users countywide. There's 3 primary components to this grant, one of which is integrate the safe systems approach into countywide transportation and development planning processes. 2 is to build a post-triage system for serious and fatal crashes to get a better understanding of exactly what those cause and factors were in those crashes. And then last but not least, developing a marketing campaign targeting one or more of those common behaviors that we're seeing throughout those more fatal incidents. This is a county-wide effort. I'm pleased to inform you of that, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Commissioner Scholl.
Yes, does this program have a focus on school zones?
This one is not specifically focused on that. It's an assessment of where those incidents take place and a focus on why those incidents are taking place. We have other programs that are focused on school zones, yes.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing no objections.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, County Administration. Item 1, approval of a board order delegating authority to sign an irrevocable letter of credit with U.S. Bank to meet the qualifications of the Oregon City Type 2 land use decision for the replacement county courthouse. Letter of credit value is $1 million to expire on March 3, 2028. Funding is through budgeted county general funds in the courthouse capital fund. Andrew Naylor from County Counsel's office will present.
Good morning, Commissioners. As you know, for our new courthouse, we had to obtain a land use permit from Oregon City. That land use permit has a series of conditions. One of them is improvements to the intersection of 213 and Redland Road for a capacity increase because of the new traffic resulting from the courthouse. That condition also says we have to post a $1 million assurance bond or financial guarantee to ensure that those improvements are completed by March of 2028. So this $1 million letter of credit is that financial guarantee to meet that condition. And so
Any
we're-
questions or comments from commissioners? Seeing no objections, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All of these items will be on this Thursday's business meeting agenda for your final action. Next, Tumwata Village Letter of Support, a request from the Grand Ronde Tribe. Tonya Holowetsky, Deputy Interim Director of Public and Government Affairs, will present. There's a draft letter in your packet. Go ahead, please, Tonya.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here to ask for your approval of the letter of support, the draft letter of support that's in your packet for the Confederate Tribes of Grand Ronde as they seek congressionally directed spending to advance Phase 2 of the rehabilitation of Tamwata Village.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Commissioner Scholl?
Yes, I certainly support this, and I want to take the opportunity to thank the people of the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde for taking on this huge and most appreciated project to return that portion of the river and the falls to a situation that people, not just in Clackamas County, but in the state and everybody who visits this place will be able to come to enjoy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Commissioner Schrader and I had a visioning session with the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde. And at that time, they showed us their future plans, their design and ideas, and mitigation on this particular site has been probably more than they anticipated. So it's very interesting to listen to them. I offered that we could, help them in trying to secure federal funds for the project. Whether we're successful or not, we won't know until we try.
Right.
Commissioner Schrader, you're up.
I think it's a great project. It's been a pleasure working with the Grand Ronde Tribe on this. When they first purchased the property, I knew that things would move ahead smoothly, and I'm glad that we can help as a commission to see that redevelopment happen.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. Seeing no objection, thank you for doing this.
Ashley, would you vote to approve, a motion to approve the letter, please?
I'll accept a motion, thank you.
I move to approve the letter in support of the Grand Ronde Tribe.
Seconded.
Commissioner Schrader has moved for approval of the support letter for the Grand Ronde Tribe, and Commissioner Scholl has seconded the motion. Further discussion. Caroline, would you please take the poll?
Yes. Commissioner Savas?
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl?
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader?
Aye.
Chair Smith?
Aye, motion passes 4-0. Thank you very much, Tanya, for bringing
you.
this forward.
Thank you. Next, employees serving on county advisory boards. Stephen Madcore, County Council, will present. There's a memo in your packet. Go ahead, please, Stephen.
Thank you, Gary. Good morning, Commissioners. The county has a number of EPPs. Those are employment policies and practices. They are what directs the conduct of employees. They typically don't apply to elected officials, but for EPP2, which mirrors state law, that applies to elected officials. This is something that was passed by a prior board and has never been formally memorialized, and that's what this effort is to do. It prohibits county employees from serving on advisory boards or commissions. The intent behind it was to eliminate any perceived conflicts of interest that employee might have. Let's work on this road while I work at the road department. Let's advise on this while I work at county council. I don't have specific examples, but that was the board's concern. The current EPP allows for employees, contractors, volunteers to serve on ABCs. We gave you the current version, we gave you a red line version, we gave you the proposed version. The proposed version says employees aren't to serve on ABCs. There are exceptions. Those are down in the exceptions component under procedures, if you're a subject matter expert, or if there's an exception granted by the county administrator, him or herself. So this is, again, memorializing the direction provided by a prior board. How it got lost in the wayside, we're not entirely sure, but we've identified it and we're curing it. 2 comments came over the course of this posting, one from the treasurer asking if it applies to county electeds, one from the auditor saying that the format looks a little bit different than our regular policy. Says if it's a format issue, we can tweak it to make it more aligned with the format that is in our software package. If you wanted to carve out and specifically say under procedure, this does not apply to elected officials, we can easily do that as well. It would be at your discretion.
Is there a request not to include public officials, employees in this?
I would say it was brought to my attention. I can't say it was a bona fide request. It would be your call, though. If you think that there are situations where elected serve on ABCs, it could be JPAC, Commissioner Savas, for example. That's advisory, right? And you might want to carve that out to eliminate that procedural snafu in the future to make it crystal clear.
Okay. Gary?
It's semantics, but technically an elected official is not an employee, so I don't feel it does not, for you commissioners or any other elected official, so I don't think the clarification is needed.
Okay, the elected official, but what about employees that work for elected officials?
This applies to them.
It does.
All employees.
It does apply to them as well.
It would.
Commissioner Savas, you're up.
Yeah, I actually think this is something that's worthy of a work session, not something under issues under a short time. This is complex, actually, because there are many scenarios in which this is, no matter how you do this, we're going to have conflicts. This committee does that, but yet we're doing this. So I don't know how you can possibly thread the needle with a policy like this without more greater thought, and I'm happy to volley up examples of where that's gone wrong within Clackamas County. And I'm not critical of the policy. I understand the intent to some degree. I'm not critical of any existing structure, but trying to have a policy that encompasses and recognizes all these different conflicts in such a way that, you know, is where this has got an effect versus can be an issue of contention if it's used to the letter. But there are a number of examples where, you know, we have one jurisdiction that does one thing and says another. You know, JPAC, that's one example. NCPRD Board of Directors, where you have elected officials that sit on, you know, written in the bylaws, that sit on the board of the DAC, yet the same jurisdiction does not agree that a county commissioner should sit on that, but yet at JPAC, that lives true, where you have an advisory committee to Metro, where it's always chaired by a Metro councilor, where 3 Metro councilors vote, right? And sometimes it's allowed, in the absence of elected official, to have an employee come up as an alternate. So, again, I'm using an external one deliberately to say that, you know, have we analyzed all of our structures and all of our committees and see how that would apply? Have we done that?
I would say no. This isn't a county council derived policy. This is a board derived policy. I will point out that, happy to have a work session though. First off, I will point out there's a carve out, and it says a county employee may be appointed to a county advisory board or commission if a provision of federal or state law, county code, or intergovernmental agreement or other such arrangement provides that such appointment is authorized or is required. So it gives you the flexibility and the county administrator the flexibility to appoint a county employee to serve in that capacity if the bylaws said so, if an IGA said so. But again, happy to have a broader discussion with you. The intent here was to eliminate any potential or perceived or actual conflict of interest by the county employee.
Yeah, and I'm not picking on any employees. I just kind of concerned that those that are not appointed or authorized by the board, let's just say in this case, for sake of argument, that do it on a voluntary basis, that are, you know, sit on a committee, are they there wearing the county hat, representing the county, or are they representing themselves? And I think that's the crux of it, right?
Yes, it is to eliminate the perception that you're using your county position to further this agenda on the side. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I'd love to hear, you know, even from county employees, their thoughts on this too, just to have a full understanding of the viewpoints.
Gary, you're up.
I asked for this, commissioners. It's a cleanup to a policy that already existed. The board in 2010 and 2016 directed this, and it never happened, to remove county employees for serving on county, the key word here is county. These are county advisory boards, not other external advisory boards. The 55 advisory boards that advise you that a county employee shall not serve on that unless it's allowed, as Stephen mentioned, by intergovernmental agreement, law, or the county code. This to me seems like an easy cleanup. I'm requesting you please approve this. Thank you.
On page 2, it says it was originally implemented on October 28th of 1999, updated March of 2004 and 2007, and then you're asking for another update. Go to page 5, and I see number 3 on page 5. Subject to department and county administration approval, employees may serve on informal or ad hoc work groups in order to provide subject matter expertise and specific assistance. So we're saying the informal or ad hoc work groups, this does not apply to. What's an example of that?
I formed when I first became administrator, I formed an internal advisory committee to advise me on the budget. Those are all county employees. That was to advise me, though, not the board. That was totally separate.
There might be some for sustainability, it might be some for solid waste. You would use somebody from county employment to provide, again, the subject matter.
A housing group you meet with?
Oh, advisory housing task force, those are all county employees.
And that would be considered under this as an ad hoc work group.
To me, no, because it doesn't advise the board. It's a staff committee that I use to then bring it, well, I guess it sort of advises the board indirectly.
So ad
Yes.
hoc is advisory? I'm just trying to understand line 3 on page 5.
Usually ad hoc means a little bit less formal,
Okay.
on the go, like you're brought in for this temporary type of advisory capacity.
But it sounds like it's also advisory.
It is. It would, because you're offering your subject matter expertise to the matter. I mean, it could be something on either like the ELED for that matter. It could be a variety of different functions. But
Commissioner
again, that language is currently existing, so that's not new. We're taking it, but that is in the existing policy.
Commissioner Scholl?
Yes. This is a relatively easy decision here, I think. The red lines in the document you presented this morning here, Mr. Madcore, simplify the EPP number 47. It's very difficult for us to anticipate in the future every exception to this EPP number 47. And as Mr. Madcore has pointed out in what he described as a carve-out paragraph, there's a means to deal with exceptions to this policy. Therefore, I would recommend approval of the adopted EPP 47 as presented today by Mr. Madcore. Get it done, get it signed, get it implemented, and take it from there.
Commissioner Savas, is your light on again?
Yeah. So another nuance here that's not spelled out is that even though there are advisory committees that actually vote on a recommendation, are these voting positions, or are they literally technical subject matter assistants?
This would apply to all county ABCs, of which Administrator Schmidt pointed out there's a number of them.
It's seats that you appoint. So a staff member, we have staff liaisons to every ABC. They will still attend. They will give recommendations, but they're not a voting member of the ABC that you appoint. That's what this is referring to.
Okay.
And if you look at it under procedures, there's all types of exceptions there to give the county administrator, department directors the latitude necessary to appoint the best person to that position if it is desired.
Under the procedures, okay. Any other comments?
I'm going to abstain because based on the responses from legal counsel, my questions, legal counsel's response, I'm just going to, I don't fully understand this.
Okay.
Would you like to repeat the question?
No, thank you. Your answer is why I'm abstaining.
Any other comments from commissioners?
No, I'm good.
Do we need a motion?
Yes, please.
Okay. I move to approve the Employment Policies and Practices, EPP number 47, as presented and redlined by the County Council this morning.
Second.
Commissioner Scholl has moved we adopt the EPP 47, and Commissioner Schrader has seconded the motion. Further discussion? Hearing none, Caroline, please call the roll.
Commissioner Savas,
Abstain.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl,
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 3-1-0.
Thank you. Gary, does that go to consent or are we done?
We're done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next, Advisory Board and Commission appointments. Caroline, go ahead, please.
Okay. The Committee for Community Involvement, staffed by the Department of Public and Government Affairs, currently has one opening on their committee due to term expirations. 5 to 9 members are allowed with 4-year terms. Through a recruitment process, 1 application was received and 1 was recommended to be appointed. The recommendation is as follows: Sally Worthage for the first term.
I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the Committee for Community Involvement appointment of Sally Worthage.
Second.
Commissioner Scholl has moved we approve the appointment for the Community for Community Involvement of Sally Worthage, and Commissioner Schrader has seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Caroline, would you please take the poll?
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl,
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. Thank you very much. What's next?
The Clackamas County Community Health Council, under the Health, Housing, and Human Services Department, opened the recruitment for consumer and non-consumer representation. The Community Health Council has a federal grant requirement to maintain a majority of consumer members, and its bylaws require a minimum of 9 members. This ABC holds a current roster of 10 members. Members voted unanimously at the regularly scheduled meeting on February 21st of 2024 to recommend new member Jerome Downs to serve his first term on the council.
I hear something. What is that?
It's me again.
Okay.
Everybody is trying to.
Okay, Commissioner Scholl, you have a comment?
No, I'm good.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the Clackamas County Community Health Council appointment of Jerome Dahlness to the first term.
Second.
Commissioner Scholl has moved the appointment of the Clackamas County Community Health Council of Jerome Dahlness, and Commissioner Schrader has seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Caroline, please take the poll.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, review of your business meeting agenda for this Thursday, March 14, 2024. It is an evening business meeting starting at 6 p.m. You have a full agenda. You will have an update on the 2024 state legislative session. There are 4 legislators that have agreed to attend so far to give you brief updates and answer any questions you may have. You'll have a public hearing, which is the second reading of an ordinance amending the county code for animal licensing. You will have the regular consent agenda items you discussed today, and under public communication, you will have an update on the Portland General Electric Tonkin project and hear feedback from the public. So that is your full agenda for this Thursday. If you have any questions on any item, please let me know, and staff and I are happy to answer it prior to Thursday. All right, Chair, with your approval, I am adding a topic that's not posted, and that is to discuss tolling. Yesterday, the governor of Oregon announced that she was going to halt tolling, it appears, on Interstate 205 and portions of I-5. This is big news, so I wanted to give you a chance to discuss this, to answer or give any questions you may have to staff, although we only know what you know at this point, but mostly to give you a chance to discuss your thoughts on this action.
Any commissioner want to talk about that decision? Commissioner Savas.
Yeah. Well, first of all, just want to say I agree with the governor's rationale for canceling the RMPP part of the tolling. The challenge we have right now and is that, as we understand it, the I-205 toll of Abernathy and that area is not canceled, but yet the media is running, not faulting the media here, but the media is running with the story that tolling on I-205 and I-5 is canceled or recommended to be canceled. And yet, the worst of the worst of our plight here with the I-205 tolling is real. It's not going away. And I guess maybe the best way to frame this is phase 1 of the tolling project is our biggest concern. That's where most of the research, if not all of the research, has been done. That's what the cities have joined us in partnership advocating for all along the way. And while this is a good start, I'm hoping that there is indeed, the canceling of the I-205 tolling on the Abernathy Bridge and, a means of filling the gap, the funding gap to make that project complete. I am just concerned, again, that the public is misunderstanding this based on the phone calls I received last night, yesterday afternoon, this morning. The message I've been receiving, people are celebrating when in fact what is actually canceled is something that was going to happen long-term, way out there. 2, 3, 4, 5 years out is what was canceled, but the immediate issue is before us, it's alive, it's real, and until that's canceled, I'm not prepared to celebrate at all. Chair, that's what I have at this moment.
Thank you. Commissioner Scholl.
Yes, well, I'd like to thank the governor for this pause on tolling, which the citizens of Clackamas County repeatedly have expressed their opinion on. They don't want it. But we needed $400 million to expand I-205 from the 10th Street exit to 213. And that seemed to be a task too hard to do. But here recently we heard that there's $450 million for the platform to be built over I-5 in Portland. There's $300 million available for the 82nd Avenue high-capacity transit articulated electric buses, but no money to expand the most critical infrastructure in the state, that is the I-205 expansion. Our primary north-south highway for commerce coming up and down this part of the West Coast. And so I appreciate this pause from the governor, but I encourage people not to let their guard down, continue to support the IP4 on votebeforetolls.org. This is not over with, and I will never accept tolling on I-205. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Schrader.
Yes, I would certainly like to thank the governor for this pause at this point in time. I think that is good news. But I would also like to thank all the citizens that came out to all of the conversations we've had about tolling. And it has become very clear to us, as well as I believe our delegation down in the legislature in Salem, that tolling on I-205 is essentially a no-go. I do believe that this is a positive sign, but I also agree with my colleagues that we can't let our guard down. We have to continue to be vigilant. We have to continue to listen to our constituents, and we need to continue to lobby to make sure we get the dollars we need for the critical infrastructure necessary on I-205. That is a main corridor for commerce. It's essential we get those dollars to expand the capacity there, and I hope that we can do so in the future as we work once again with our governor and our legislators.
Is that it? Thank you. Well, folks, in my opinion, the main point here is that Clackamas County continues to lead as an example on state key issues. And we're not afraid to take on overwhelming state issues. For instance, housing homelessness. We've made great gains in that. Addiction recovery with a Measure 110 in the legislature. Drug recriminalization, and now freeway tolls. Clackamas County's main objection to the freeway tolls was that it disproportionately targeted Clackamas County by tolling I-205 first, all lanes at the same time. No other jurisdiction in America does that. We challenged ODOT's 2,000-page EA with our own. Obviously, when we sent back the 30-page rebuttal, they couldn't answer it or were unwilling to answer it. At that point, the Oregon legislature said, hey, wait a minute, this isn't right. They gave it to Governor Kotek, who put a temporary pause on it. Going forward, obviously the governor decided that tolling was not going to work in the northern part of Oregon on our largest population centers. I am thankful for that. I am thankful that she has pulled back tolling. In Clackamas County, we look for solutions, and we're not focused on politics. We listen to our citizens. Recent poll dropped in Clackamas County showed 92% of the voters were against tolling, and I believe that she has the same polling data available to her. Look, we listen to all the voices. Yes, we want transportation projects, but it is incumbent upon the Oregon Department of Transportation and the Oregon legislature, who passed this to begin with, to look to other solutions. Other solutions are out there. It is not up to the Board of County Commissioners to tell ODOT what funding solutions are, because they know what those funding solutions are. In Clackamas County, I'll say again, we are not afraid to push back on failed policies, and this was definitely a failed policy from the get-go. Common sense solutions is the answer to these big issues. We are willing to work to cohabitively with our county transportation staff to figure out how to meet the growing population and our infrastructure in Clackamas County. Thank you very much. Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, I think it's kind of important to just kind of tell the story a little bit about how we got here. And even before I took office in 2011, this board with different commissioners up here took a position on the diversion issues regarding tolling and/or the construction projects related to the CRC, which is now the IBR, or some of these substantial projects that would divert traffic around the 205 corridor and exacerbate really the diversion. The diversion issue is really creating havoc for Oregon City and especially West Linn, and has led to a number of accidents. And there's a report in the West Linn Tidings dated in 2015, 2 years before the HB 2017, which the West Linn police cited that the diversion off the freeway was causing accidents in their city. So it's real. The police reports back that up. Accident reports, that is, back that up. That's been our number one issue, is safety. And the fact that, as Commissioner Scholl mentioned, that the lanes between the Abernathy Bridge and I-5 up to the Stafford exit are been canceled, contrary to the legislative direction of HB 2017. That exacerbates our problem. And then adding tolling on top of that, which is still in play. As I understand it, the supplemental EA is still on target. They're still working on that. That is going to come out unless the governor cancels all the tolling. And at this point, that's why I'm really not celebrating. This is a diversion issue. This is a safety issue. This is a climate issue. There's nothing good about people getting off the freeway that belong on the freeway. And we've got to remain vigilant and firm on our stand. And again, I'm grateful that the governor used that rationale to cancel that long-term project, but that rationale is based on the near-term issue, not both near and long-term. So it obviously applies to both. And frankly, any more taxpayer dollars being wasted on this is not going to be beneficial. And I just concerned that if we wait till 2025 to make that final decision, there's more staff time, more county staff time, state staff time, city staff time, and upset that'll be lost if indeed that's the end. But I want to thank my colleagues for remaining firm on this, and we'll continue the fight.
Thank you, Commissioner Savas. Thank you, Commissioners. Yes, we are very happy that tolling has ended. Gary, seeing no further business before this commission, we are adjourned.